Welcome back, guys. This is Rishi's Vlogs, and in today's video we're going to be making a very simple and basic and beginner friendly forms, as many websites do have them. So let's get into it. So my HTML is already up, as well as my CSS. So what we're going to start by doing is making up a forms tag, and under that we will just type in div class equals container, and moving on to our next tag, which is div class. Oh, div class box. Now the reason why we have these two is because when we style them, it will be much more convenient. Now for the next tag is just going to be label for equals. Inside the quotation marks, we're going to put fname for first name, or you can do whatever you prefer. Then we're going to do name equals fname, and then placeholder, we will do enter first name. The reason why for placeholder is because for most websites, when you go onto a bit to maybe register an email, they always have this, and there's a nice prompt, which is professional and convenient to see. Next, we're going to be doing is an input type tag. The reason why we're doing this is so you can actually enter, so any website user of your website can enter information in the input fields. So we're going to do input type equals text, and then the ID will be fname, and the next thing we'll do will be the placeholder, which will, again will be enter first name. Oh, there was another thing I forgot. Just before ID, no, just after ID, you also have to do name as well. So it'll be input type, which is text, ID, which is the name, then name, which is fname again, and then the placeholder. Now this will allow everything to smoothly flow. So the next thing we will do is we're just going to put a BR tag. The reason why we're doing that is because we don't want everything cramped. We want to create like a little space, so it looks pretty presentable. Now we're just going to copy and paste that, and so it will be a label tag and then the input tag. Now what I'm going to change is we're going to do first name and last name. So we're going to change everything from fname to lname for last. So with these forms, they're really simple to do, and they can be really convenient because if you have a website, let's say for marketing or business, they are very effective to use, especially when you're trying to capture data. So it's very convenient and useful to have, as well as professional. Now what we're going to do, we're going to create a div section, so a div tag, because we're making the buttons. So we're going to have a reset button and then a submit button. So whenever you press a reset, it will erase everything in the input boxes, and with the submit button, everything will go through. So we will do just button type equals in the quotation marks, either what we've done reset and then button, no, reset and then reset again and then button, and we're going to close the div, open up another one, button type equals submit. Yep, and then we're going to do submit again, and we're going to close the button tag, and then under that we will do the closing div. Yep, and then just align those, and then we're just going to do a closing form tag, so to make sure everything's all closed and all correct. Now what we're going to do, that is basically the forms. What we'll be doing, we're going to be running it now just to show you how it looks. So this is how it looks. So we've created the forms. It allows you to have inputs. You have your reset button. Please do ignore that typo, I just realized that, which we'll be correcting. But yeah, and that's the reset, which currently works. It's going to be tapping in random letters, and then that's the submit. And as you can see on the top bar, when you submit, when you submit, it normally comes up there. So it's going to be changing that typo. Amazing. So that's that done. We're moving over to our CSS, where we're going to be styling the form and the box and containers, as well as the buttons, because we want to make them look convenient, and not only convenient but professional, have a nice touch to it. Something a bit colorful but not too flashy, something subtle. So we're going to have a container tag. Inside there we're going to put display flex. So whenever you stretch the page, should adjust with it. Then we're going to do justify content, which will make sure everything is in the center of the container. The container should be in the center. And then what we're going to do is align the items, which again we're going to make sure is center. So it's much more attractive, so it's just in the center of the page. As soon as you open it, easily visible as well. Next, we're going to move on to, we're going to set a minimum height, which I set it to 80 VH. Personal preference, feel free to edit that with your own sizings. And we're going to just, we're just going to run it just to show you guys. So that's what happens when you style the container. So that's what the container does. Now, we're going to move on to our lovely box for the next bit. So open brackets. Inside there, we're going to type in background color because we're going to select background colors for this, which my personal preference is red. Feel free to choose whatever color you guys want. Moving on to our next line, which is the width. I normally set the width quite wide, so I do 400 pixels. The reason why I do this is because I like having things spaced out and not too cramped inside. Next thing, we're going to do a padding of 32 pixels, a border of 5 pixels, and we're going to select color, which our color is gray. Yep. So that just makes sure like the edges color and the sizing is that. Now we're going to do border radius. So this will practically be smoothing the corners, so making it more rounded and soft. So having like a little soft finishing touch. And for that we're going to do 10 pixels. Moving on, we will be doing... Oh, no, actually we're going to be running it just to show you guys again. Yeah, that's what happens when you do the box. So the container is practically the information fields, and the box is the red bit, as well as the grey bits as the borders. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the form itself. So we're going to do display and flex. Yep. And then the next thing we're going to do is flex direction, which we're going to have as a column. And there you go, that's how it is. Yep, there we go. Okay, I'm going to close that and return back to our CSS. Okay, so that's closed. We're just going to do now the input fields. So you're going to type in input, and then inside the square brackets, we're going to do type equals 2 quotation marks inside the text. Inside we put text, and then make sure to put a comma at the outside of the square bracket, and then you can just copy and paste this again, because it's going to be the... Normally how I would do this is the first one I'll have text, the second one I'll have password. But just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do text again. And then here is where you want to open up the square brackets, because at the bottom you saw there was a red line, which shows that there was a warning or an error. No, an error. There we go. So we're going to do margin, and we're going to set it to 10 pixels. We will be doing padding, and that again 10 pixels. And then next we'll be doing our border, which you do of a 1. Yeah, it was meant to be 1 pixels. Yeah, which we chose the color of solid gray for, and then we're going to do our border radius. So this makes sure that it also has smooth edges, so we don't want it sharp, pointy, because that's really basic, I think. Feel free to keep it standard if you guys want, and we're just going to run that. Yep, there we go. So now you can see that the input fields for first name and last name are much smoother, and it looks much more presentable, I would say, much more neater. Now what we're going to do next, we're going to do the buttons. Our lovely buttons we will customize. So we're going to do buttons inside the square bracket, type, and then inside the quotation marks, we're going to have reset, and then for the next one, we're going to do submit. But make sure outside the square brackets, again, you have the comma. The only one you don't have to have the comma for is the last one, because that's just next to, just on top of the curly brackets. So just like that, open it, and then margins, we're going to set margin top, which I believe was 10 pixels. And then we're going to do padding, which again is 10 pixels. And just like that, that is the button done, and that's the whole CSS, and this is the HTML. So that is the form just done in under 10 minutes, and this is how it looks run. And that is how it's meant to look. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you can subscribe and drop a like. See you guys in the next video.